Did someone ask what time it is? You know what time it is. It's Match Day Live, and we are joined by Jack Kinnicky, Kuva Sexy, and the one and only Mr. Daigle as we welcome the Magpies to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today, and hopefully we're the slippy worms because we do not want them feeding on us today. It's a big game. It's a must-win game. I've already checked in on the comments, and I just want to say I absolutely love, even though how bad we were midweek, people are still back here today, optimistic, getting behind the team and expecting a big performance. And I absolutely love you guys for it. As you can see, I'm pumped up. Let's see how the guests are. Jacko, how are you, my man?
Massive chance for breathing room today, Dave, especially when you look at that table. I think no Spurs fan isn't looking at the table, and they have to be looking at the chance for breathing room. Also, we know this is a special derby to our one and only Chris, Dave. Hopefully he's able to watch him today, because it could mean that tomorrow, Dave, he walks into work either high as a kite or he walks into work, dreading absolutely every moment. So we hopefully get Chris the 3 points that he needs, and hopefully he can join us even for the watch along at some stage as well. Absolute legend. So Dave, this means a lot, to plenty of people, not only for us in the table, but maybe to some local Spurs fans in the Toffee area.
Yeah, it definitely does, Jack. Look, you just give me an idea. Well, seeing Chris high would actually, I'd say, it'd be fantastic. I'd say it'd be hilarious. But Kuva, how are you, my man? Long time no speak, personally, because I wasn't with you last week. So how are you keeping?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I always enjoy the time on the show with Jack as well. So, yeah, doing okay here. Just hoping for a bloody performance today. We all need that.
Yeah.
Tell you what, win, lose, or draw, as long as we put in a shift and look like a proper team, I'll be okay with that. But let's have a win. Just makes the weekend a lot better, doesn't it?
Especially when you're the last kickoff on a Sunday. There's nothing worse than being the ones to lose and you're just the whipping boys for the week. Like we were this week. It's actually unbearable. I had to just tune out of YouTube content, bar Tottenham content, because everyone else was mocking Tottenham, and it was actually painful, to be honest. I was in bed seething. But there you go. How are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, well, I'm good. I've had a lovely Saturday with the missus. I have to admit, though, I'm more excited and pumped up to be spending the afternoon, morning, whatever you want to look at, with the Spurs community than I am the game, actually. After what we saw, listen, I'm always excited for Spurs, but after, I'm still very, 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 very bitter about Wednesday. But I get to spend a lot of time today with the Spurs community, and that is always worth its weight in gold. So I'm looking forward to that.
No, me and you are on a triple header today, Brian.
We are, mate. We're rocking it.
TV. And then you're also joining us for the watch along today, because Shawnee is actually out of town at a conference, I believe. So best of luck, Shawnee, if you're watching, my man. Hopefully you enjoy it. But look, let's welcome some of the people into the chat. Let's gauge some opinions. And then we've got a lot to talk about, a hell of a lot to talk about. Mr. Ederson is with us. He says, hey, Dave, hey, Jack, come on, you Spurs have to win today. Otherwise, we can forget even fourth place. I'll hold my horses for a few minutes. I do think we're slightly look, I can get the manner of the performance, but I do think there's a slight overreaction as well. But we'll get on to it. Ribsy85 says, another big match. Come on, you Spurs. Let's bounce back. And Ribsy, big yourself up, brother. Thank you very much for filling in last week. And we'll definitely have you on more of these, my man. Big yourself up from down under. Frank Last says, we need to win. Morning to all. Of course we do, my man. Big yourself up. Good morning. Good morning, Calavacious as well. Good morning, Mick Carmelot. Welsh gal, what's the choice of IPA today? Let us know. She says, need to make a statement today and bounce back from the dross. Absolutely couldn't agree more. Slim Boy Tubbs, the oxymoron. He says, morning one and all. Keeping the faith and got feeling 2-0 today. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. I love when people get feelings. I love it, especially when they come through. Christian Petroza. Honestly, what a real nice second name to say. Big yourself up, says big win at home. We've got Mr. Marketing in the house. Big up all. Let's have a win today. And also, Doji assisted goal for Udinese. 1-1 currently versus Torino. We are his destiny. Absolutely love that. And look, we need him back next year big time. I mean, he's absolutely flying at Udinese. We really need him here. Richarlison, the Pigeon TV. Big up, brother. Good to see you in the building. King Huddle says, right, Keane said our midfield first look leggy with no ideas, no energy. The lack of creativity we know about. Fatigue concerns me more. Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg and Benchcore have not been rested this season. Absolute fair point, King Huddle. Jack Goff says, big up the Irish Hotspur and all in the chat. We need a result today and a bounce back from Wednesday. I'm confident these days. I'm not confident these days, but hopeful. Come on, you Spurs. Well, look, hopefully today Tottenham can turn that back into confidence, my man. We also got Geoff Totten, Pert Coys. So good morning, all. Hope it's a great match for us. I think we all do. I think it'd be unbearable to sit through what we've seen against Man United, to be honest with you. I'll be honest. About 55, 60 minutes in, I was about to text Jack privately and just say, look, Jack, just end it. Just call it. Like, I can't do this. It's embarrassing me. It's embarrassing you. And it's just not good for our health. I was about to call it, to be honest with you. It was that bad. Off. David Dulom says Spurs fan base is gradually becoming toxic like Arsenal fans on AFTV. Well, we're nowhere near that stage yet. Nowhere near that stage yet, my man. I mean, they set the bar pretty high over there. So I think it'll take us a while to get there. Chris Agenbar says, big up. Need a reaction from these players today. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Chris. Good to see you. We're going to give a couple more shout-outs. Then I got Super Chat from Darkson G. And then we're going to crack absolutely into it. Big up, Darkson G. Good to see you in the building, brother. We have Elias in the house. Good evening. Good morning, Elias. Simon Cohen, great to see you, my man. Big yourself up. Wembley 1 is in with us. Mark as well. Big up, Mark. Joseph Monaghan. Simon McClure says, big up, Dave. Got to say, looking forward to this one today. I'm not looking forward to this one today. Really nervous. Not an easy game at all. It's not going to be an easy game, that's for sure. Stevie Fraser says, big up Dave, Jack Coover, and of course, Mr. Daigle. I feel like we've been playing with a bit of fear of making mistakes, hoping for great football today. Come on, you Spurs. We've got Mark Weatherstone says, we need a big win today to get our confidence back. Big yourself up. Robbie Wallace, great to see you in the building, my man. All the way from New Zealand says, I'd settle for a dirty scuffed goal from Kane and a 1-0 win. Well, I believe Emerson scored last time out, so it could be from Emerson today.
Yeah, Cody needs to put another bet on, because that's the day Cody put the bet on that, and it came in. So Cody needs to put another stupid bet on for it to come true.
And he's been wearing the shirt ever since.
That's brilliant. He loves that shirt. It's his secret favourite. I know it is. Kai Balak says, come on, you Spurs. Paddy Harnett's in the building. Good afternoon, you English and Irish people. Yes, Jack, you are still Irish. Gamera is missing. It's a big loss to them. We're going to get into that in a minute. It's huge. Big up Lindstrom. Big up Eddie Parsons. Big up Skunkworks. Big up KPV. John Langford as well. Great to see you. Mia W. Steve D. Foggy Foam. Jesus, there's loads of people in today. Young Putty, Savatalk Spurs, good to see you, my man. I hope you're keeping well. We've got Baz Mipur going to destroy these lads. Sava, put in earbuds when I start speaking, my man. I know I'll end up sending you crazy, but big up, Sava. Good to see you in the building.
Big up Foggy Foam as well. Big up Steve D. And then, big up Mia W. Legends.
Loads of people. I'm going to get to more in a few minutes. We have a couple super chats here to take, and then we're going to tell everything you need to know, the injuries, and then we've got a lot to discuss. Hopefully we can fit it all in. Jack, you were speaking about this maybe before we came live today. Dark Zone G says, come on, you Spurs, let's win. Liverpool losing let's win after Liverpool losing to Forest and Man United and Blues drawn. This is another chance to run away from those 3 top 6 teams. We will win by 2+ goals. Dark Zone G feeling confident with Jack. The first part you were talking about before we came live.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. And I think I'm only really bouncing off of what Dark Sun G put there. It's the chance for breathing room for Spurs fans. It's the chance to, stay at the top of the table, kind of perhaps, stiff arm maybe the rest of the teams, kind of keep them down there with the likes of Man United and Chelsea and whatnot. And it also just sort of amends maybe slightly, and only really sort of, for the maybe atrocious result that we had on Wednesday, because ultimately it does just come down to points. And ultimately, if you get the chance to recover those points and maybe the other team actually ends up dropping points in a way that you didn't expect, I think it's a great opportunity for Spurs. Obviously, Man United and Chelsea, I would maybe caveat, I think are going to maybe continue to kind of breathe down our neck for the most of the season. They are kind of getting themselves together by the looks of things. But with the likes of Liverpool, I mean, it's really nice, Dark Sun G, to see that the outlet is still driving himself crazy and they seem to not be able to get themselves together over there. And also, I mean, it seems like Forest, beating Forest, it's not for everybody, Dave.
No, it doesn't
beating
seem
Forest
like
away from home, not for
everybody.
everybody. It's a tough skill, not really for the faint of heart.
One thing I will add, I think while these teams are slipping up, it is very important we try to create as much of a gap as possible, because it's not going to stay like this. After the World Cup, once the World Cup's out of the way, these teams will find a stride of form. They will come good. And it's just been proven year in, year out in the Premier League. So we have to try and increase the gap as much as we can, Dark Zone G. Big yourself up, fella.
I think to be fair with that Liverpool game, you got to say Henderson had a magnificent game in goal for Forest. It's not the same Liverpool team at the moment.
And Van Dijk had two wonderful clearances, in front of Henderson's goal as well. I mean, he cleared it twice in front of Henderson's goal. He refused to score.
Just to piggyback on what Kuva said as well, we need to shh and keep it quiet, because Liverpool have not won an away Premier League game all season. Guess who their next Premier League away game is?
Classic.
So, because we all know, we all know the story's writing itself.
If we lose that, I will be in hiding. I'm not going to lie. Majority of my friends are Liverpool fans. I will be in hiding.
Kuva's right though. Dean Henderson, once again, that's why I keep saying him. He has to be for me, Lloris's replacement. He was incredible yesterday, wasn't he, Kuva?
He was indeed. I think the other thing we've got to be a bit careful of, how many times do we say, oh, look, all of our rivals have dropped points. And then what do we do?
Drop points.
Forget we haven't played yet.
Yeah. Big up, Dark Song G, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. Big yourself up. I want to say a big up to Tom THFC as well. Of course, Joseph as well. Good to see you, my man. Davy Clark as well. Great to see you. We've also got Ibrahim in here. Good to see you, my man. And then Sava or Colin Cross as well. Great to see you, brother. And then Sava Talks Football. Talks Football. I seen the change, my man. How's it working out for you? He says, have a great show, guys. Their best 4 players are out injured. 0 excuses today. We simply have to win. Let's do a show together soon. Peace. Kuva, you take the first part, my man. What would you say to Sava here? Their best 4 players are out injured. 0 excuses today. And also seen him say out in the comments as well, where he says, should win, we've got to win. 4 best players are out. And when you look at it, he's right. We should be beating them when their best players are out.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Thing is, the way Newcastle's set up, they're such an aggressive, high-pressing team now. And we've seen what we're like playing against that. I still don't think it's going to be an easy match, but it's got to be easier. The likes of Guimaraes is out. I mean, he's a player gets in any team in the world at the moment. I think. Joe Linton's going to be a big miss for them. He was terrible as a striker, except for against us, obviously. But when he's switched to that aggressive ball-winning midfield role, and he's been brilliant for them. So he's going to be a miss for them as well. But I think the way they're set up, their fitness levels, their pressing, they're going to cause us all sorts of problems still. We're not comfortable playing against this sort of side.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I mean, even if you look at the games this season where we've dropped points, United pressed the living shit out of us. West Ham pressed the shit out of us to get their goal. Chelsea dominated us by pressing us. So, the games that we haven't really fared too well in has been because we've been pressed. And I think Newcastle, I wish they were like Newbridge because we destroyed them. But Newcastle, I think they have the most turnovers in the final, in the opposition's half in the Premier League. So, I mean, look, that screams to me. Ben Davies has got to come out. Langley's got to go in there alongside Romero and Dyer. But look, we're going to get onto that. But big up, Sava. Really appreciate the support, my man. And 100%, my man.
No, they are missing their 4 best players. Simply their 4 most talented or 4 most skilled players in the team. But I think Kuva is right. Ultimately, the tactics will still be the same for them.
Oh, 100% they're going to be the same. Anyhow, I don't think we'll change it whatsoever. But big up, Sava, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Everybody, make sure you are smashing that like button. If you're new, smash that subscribe button. And we're going to keep getting your comments in. We're going to bring them up as we go along. As you know, we try to include everybody with what we're trying to do. Sometimes it can get hot and heavy. It can get a bit difficult. If you're getting frustrated or even if you just want to support what we're doing, feel free to slap in a super chat with your thoughts and we'll all have a good discussion on it. But big up, Sava. But look, we're going to start with absolutely everything people need to know. Give me 1 second. I'll just get Sava's name out the way here. So we'll start with absolutely everything people need to know. Of course, we are at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Kickoff is at 4:30 p.m. today. Referee is Jared Gillet. In the VAR room is Stuart Atwell, who I think he was in the VAR room. He was in the VAR room for that penalty we should have got at West Ham. And then if you want to watch the game, of course, in the UK and Ireland, it's on Sky Sports. In the USA, it's on NBC. And in Canada, it is on Football TV. Now, injury news today, guys. Of course, Richarlison out for Tottenham. Kulu Sexy out. We really need him back. He's huge loss. And then Emerson returns from suspension today. So I no doubt that's going to be a good talking point. And Jack also added in on the notes, Kuva, in case you need a moment, now is the time. And then for Newcastle. And then for
Why does this have to happen? Oh my God.
You'll hear some smashing now in the background. And then for Newcastle, Isaac, of course, is out injured, which is huge because he would run riot over Dyer. Joe Linton is a doubt, late fitness test today. We'll wait and see how that plays out. Matt Ritchie out. Big one today. Bruno Gomes out. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant piece of news for Tottenham. Should make our life a hell of a lot easier. And St. Maximum out. But I'm not surprised on St. Maximum. I remember Romero done him in, I think, 5 minutes into the home game we played them. And then he just didn't want to know after that. So I think maybe he's just bowing out. Because
he took a look at the schedule. Maybe, said, this would be the perfect time, maybe pull a nice little injury. Yeah. I mean, very clever by him. And then Bruno Gomes, Dave, probably one of my favorite players for the last 3 or 4 years, I would say, in European football in general. But nice to see that he's become even further in my rankings for one of my favorite players because he's decided to miss this game as well because he's, I think, celebrating being a father. So he's just a good guy, as well, which is nice to see. So Bruno G, good on him. Good on him.
Big up, Bruno. Thanks for missing today. I applaud you. It's more important to be at the birth of your child, so make sure you be there. Jory is with us. He says, Nottingham Forest versus Liverpool. Aurier looked like the world-class right-back that we need. Absolutely fucking typical. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm glad I read the second part because I thought you were going to say get Aurier back. I was like, no. We ripped up his contract for a reason. He was an absolute shambles, shambolic. I mean, what can you say? It just always happens to us. I mean, Serge Aurier, of all people, the guy is giving away penalty after penalty at Tottenham, mistake after mistake, and then puts in a worldie against Liverpool. I mean, where was that when we needed it off the fucker?
He did it for us as well. It was once every sort of 15 games or something, wasn't it?
When I watched the game yesterday, Dave, there was a brilliant moment on the commentary where some of the commentary brought up how Aurier, when they were trying to see out the rest of the game, Aurier was still going at like lightning pace, like with everything, like the throw-ins. He wasn't even taking his time at all, like, trying to do a bit of housery. And the commentary team just goes like, like the teammates are trying to tell Aurier just to calm down here. And I was like, you don't understand Serge Aurier then. I was like, clearly you haven't seen Serge Aurier play. Like, he's going to be absolutely juiced up for a whole 180 minutes here. There's no way you're going to calm him down. He's ready to take a man down in the penalty area at any stage. Like, it's just hilarious. It's like they've never seen Aurier play. You can't tell Aurier to calm down.
How full circle his career has come. I mean, remember we had to beg him to try and come off the bench at Liverpool, and he just ended up storming off and sitting on the team bus like a baby, crying, and now he's putting in a worldie against Liverpool. But Jory, the Jorical, big yourself up, brother. Good to have you in, my man. Great to see you. And then we've got Dark Sun G. He says all of Newcastle attacking threats are out. Jack, Isaac, no St. Maximum. So have they got today then?
I would imagine, Callum Wilson goes up there, who probably loses any of our center backs. He has great movement. I mean, he is a good striker and has a great finish on him. He also, though, is a bit injury prone, but by the looks of things, he's kind of, coming back from an injury. Isaac Almiron, I would say, is also a big threat. But who did you say, Dave? What did you say?
That ex-Scoomer twat. What's his name? It's so insignificant. I can't remember.
Wilson. Or Willock.
Willock. Yeah, Wilcock or whatever you want to call the idiot. Yeah.
Wilcock.
I would say Almiron is having a terrific season, though, for them. And he's probably one of those guys that we've always, have been able to say, even during the Steve Bruce days, that was just pressing when even Steve Bruce didn't want him to press. He was just running all over the pitch sort of kind of guy. So he'll be the guy probably causing us the most problems when it comes to that pressing, just because he seems to have a motor engine. But then also Callum Wilson, we know, has great movement. Ryan Fraser, maybe a bit of pace, and only plays well for Eddie Howe. So that will be also interesting to see as well.
Yeah, I think
they have decent backups.
Wilson's part of his game, the pressing is really underrated as well. He's a real handful.
I just think he's a spectacular finisher. I just think if you give him a chance, he'll bury it. He has a great finish on him.
At one point, I actually wanted him to be Callum Wilson to genuinely come to Tottenham. I genuinely, when we were with Vinicius and all these and whatever, Callum Wilson, like people said, may have had a bad injury record, and he's had a couple of horrific injuries. But if you keep him fit, he scores goals. He scores goals. He's got like Coover said, his work rate is astronomical. And you saw in the 5-1 against Brentford when he intercepted and he saw the other Murphy to square it and get a simple. He's a very, very, very good and very underrated striker. I think he's a massive danger.
Yeah,
I agree with Jack as well about Almiron.
Yeah,
you watch him play in recent weeks. He's getting closer and closer to getting a couple of worldies in per game.
Yeah, he's doing a Matt Letizia, isn't he? He's having his own goal of the month competition with himself at the moment.
Big up, Dax OG. Really appreciate the support, brother. Richard Traer, you're now blocked. You know exactly why. I'm not even going to get into it.
Thank you.
You're blocked. You know exactly why. Wayne Bonner says, I'm expecting the boys to turn up today. They owe us a hell of a performance after that embarrassing no-show at Old Trafford. Big up, Wayne. Good to see you in the build, my man. And 100%, I could not agree more. And then we've got this from Dax OG, and then we're going to crack into it. We've got a lot to talk about. He says, Almiron after scoring a brace versus Korea now runs riot. Jacko.
I've always liked Almiron just for the fact that he did make that sort of big step up from the MLS, and he did carry kind of a lot of sort of, I don't know, like reputation and whatnot. I don't think he really met that sort of expectation, but what he did carry with him was kind of natural Premier League traits, which is a guy that can basically run like half a marathon per game and can just be able to just constantly sprint at players. He has a good first touch. I think he has a good ability to take it past his man. He's almost kind of Lucas Moura, a bit-esque, you could say, about him. But I think he's, still has a bit more time on his side, and he's perhaps, kind of coming together, you could say, under Eddie Howe and his team now. And it's sad to say, Dark Sun G, that it all started with Korea. That is actually the worst. It just knows that he's maybe lined up one for today, and maybe he's going to take Joe Linton's place in terms of being turning into an absolute superstar against Spurs, because Joe Linton always does that.
Yeah, I think we look at St. Maximum being out and we think, oh, that's one of the main threats is out. But you look at Wilson and Almiron in particular, they are part of that high press. He's
just a nuisance. That's what I would describe Almiron as. He's just a
Maximum
nuisance.
Isn't really that. He saves himself for the sort of explosive actions, doesn't he? Saves himself for an attacking outlet. But the other two, they are part of that high press, and that's still there. Their main way of scoring goals and causing problems to the opposition is still in place for this game. I don't think we can underestimate just how good they're going to be.
No, 100%. I fully agree. And we're going to get into it because I actually have a few stats on Newcastle. I'm just going to take a couple more comments here from the chats. People still flooding in. It's great to see. Big up, Phil. Great to see you, my man. We've got Tom81. Afternoon. I'm a little worried about today's game. Hope I'm wrong. Great to see you. Joe says Doherty will score.
That's a Cody bet.
Faz Radfar, it's not something I'd be betting on for sure. Stevie D, 100%. We can't afford to set up like that, my man. Couldn't agree more. Just make sure I'm not missing anybody. I hate missing people. I feel bad. And then Christian Petrosa says, thank you all for the consistent content. Daigle said it, but always looking forward to the international Spurs community online here. Look, my man, we absolutely love doing it. I mean, we enjoy doing it. To be honest with you, it's more therapy. It's a bit selfish of me. It's actually more therapy for me than anything else, if I'm being brutally honest. It helps me get my thoughts out there. If I'm angry, it helps me release it a little. And look, it's absolutely fantastic. Look, there was a comment underneath one of the videos yesterday, and I've seen a couple of comments lately about YouTube channels, and I get some people don't like the YouTube channels and whatever else. And look, each to your own. I mean, I'm not going to tell people how to think or whatever else. But basically, if you look at it, and what we're trying to do here, we're doing what BT Sports have failed to do, Sky Sports have failed to do, and even the club have failed to do, which is give fans a voice and bring them along the journey and the roller coaster with us each season, And that's basically what this online community is about, to give everybody a voice and bring us all along the journey instead of just sitting there and being told what to think by pundits from Sky Sports, BT Sports, and stuff like that. So big up, Christian. I'm glad you appreciate it. But at the same time, as much as we put out all this content and everything else, you guys are the ones that help us out with tuning in, liking, but most importantly, putting your thoughts in, your comments in, engaging with us, and basically keeping us going, helping us along these live streams. So you guys at home play an absolute massive role and a part in this as well. Big up, Christian.
Beautifully said, Dave. And a great name he has too.
I just want to touch on that a little bit because it makes me laugh. Like you said, You either love us or hate us or whatever, our views, their views, whatever. But I don't get these people that come onto the YouTube comments to say I hate you or I don't like what you're doing or whatever, but yet they spend their time coming onto YouTube to watch you, to leave a comment, when they could just say I don't like YouTube. I'm not going
Do
to
you know
go.
what?
It's the most oxymoronic thing I've ever seen.
But you know what? Look, I've no problem. I've not had it out with people, but I've just kind of like asked them, you know, why they don't like the YouTube channels and stuff like that. And look, you know, each to their own. They're all entitled to their opinion at the end of the day. But big up Christian Petrosa, my man. Really appreciate the support.
I'll add to that as well. With some of the people that have the biggest problems, just come on. We'll always debate these people, won't we?
Yeah.
If they got reason for it, just talk about it. I mean, we're just fans the same as everybody else out there. The only difference is we're stupid enough to come on camera and our views.
What annoys me, it's kind of like, you know, they give out here for doing YouTube content and stuff like that, but it's like, we're giving you a platform. We're setting up a platform, you know, for people to come and air their voices. We run 4 fan shows a week. You know what I mean? This, that, and the other. And it's kind of like we're doing what Sky Sports, BT Sports, and the clubs have failed to do. And if they'd done that, there wouldn't be these YouTube channels around. So that's the little thing that kind of bugbears me a little. But look, I'm big enough and I'm bold enough to be able to move on from it, not let it get me down. But look, we're actually going to start this one with Daigle, and then we're going to work our way back. I have continuous questions off the back of this. Daigle, Tottenham have lost their last two games. Have lost 2 games out of their last 4 games. As many defeats as in our previous 21. 9 wins, 3 draws, and just 3 losses in 15 games so far this season. We've made our best start to a campaign in 59 years. We sit 3rd in the Premier League, and we're top of the Champions League group stage. Now, I know the performance versus Man United was not good enough, and everyone is rightly so to criticise the performance. But with some of the reactions that I've seen, you would think we are in the relegation zone. And as Spurs fans, Brian, do you think there's a bit of an overreaction, or do you think they're even right to react the way that we've reacted since the United defeat?
Do you know, for me, this is a very hard question to answer, and the reason I say that is where you've got to look at it, and we know within this community we have people from a young age, like Lily White Lane and Dan THFC, to like our generation, to elder generations, to grandparents, to people around the world that haven't watched Spurs as intensely. And you look at people that may be older than myself, like my dad's age, or between me and my dad, or maybe a little bit older. They're used to seeing trophies and good football. Maybe not the greatest football at times, but they've been brought up on a certain kind of thing. And it's trickled down. Now, obviously, you've got to look at it right now. The style of football is what's dominating everything. If we've been doing this and been playing swashbuckling Pochettino football, everyone will be like, oh my God, we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. This is amazing. I can't wait to go every time we go to the game. Like with Poch, I expect to win and I expect us to flatten teams. It's not that at the moment. It's not that. Listen, I always say, if someone had come up to me like the Premier League and Champions League fairy had come down and saw me one night and said, listen, on October the 20, where are we, 3rd, you'll be sitting 3rd in the league and top of the Champions League, and you didn't have any idea about points, goal scorers, style of football, whatever, every single one of us would have said, yes, we'll take that right here, right now. But you're only as good as your last game, is what I look at. And if you look at our last game was probably, and I'm going to talk for myself, probably one of, if not the worst match of football I've ever seen Tottenham Hotspur play. I mean for lack of effort, for lack of commitment, and it was horrible to watch. Like you were just saying with you and Jack and the watch, I was like, let's just end it. I get why people are overreacting. Or no, sorry, I don't get why people are overreacting. I don't think it's overreacting because you got to remember, we may all support Tottenham, we may all want a successful Tottenham, but every single one of us have a different idea of what a successful Tottenham means. Does that mean healthy bank balance and doing what we're doing? Does that mean winning trophies and playing football? Or is it, for me, it's a combination of everything. And right now, sometimes it looks like we're trying to put square pegs into round holes.
Yeah.
And we look a little bit clueless at times, and from watching the Everton game, where I think the back three probably had their most accomplished performance of the season, that three, and Basuma coming on and changing the game, and we're all waxing lyrical about the 3-5-2. I'm there going, I told you so, 3-5-2, 3-5-2, like I'm some kind of guru, which I ain't. So then watch what we saw on Wednesday, and it's just for me. I'm really torn with this question, but I'm starting to get angry. I'm starting to get very angry, but I'm not getting very. I am getting very angry at the players and the manager, but I think you know who I'm getting much more angrier at. And today, I'm not. It's that I'm not talking about him right now. I'm talking about what I saw on the pitch, and on the pitch yesterday. Sorry, Wednesday was horrific, and the lack of accountability within this football club is beyond. I just don't get it. So like I said, I see where these reactions are coming from. I don't think they're overreacting, because obviously you've got people from different walks of life and different ages that define what they see as something else. So I don't think people are overreacting.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Look, I think slightly. I do think sometimes we forget we've had our best start since 1963. I think sometimes we do forget we're still sitting third in the league. But like you were saying, Brian, I can fully understand the anger and the manner of the way we went down against Old Trafford and everything surrounding that. Fully understand that, my man. Jack, we're coming off the back of our worst performance this season, but our home form has been exceptional. Unbeaten so far this season. I think we're looking to go 10 on the bounce today at home. Do you think we will see a much improved performance there in front of our own fans?
You certainly hope so. And obviously, being a home game gives you that more confidence that you'll probably see it. We do play like a much different team at home. We do see probably much more free-flowing Spurs at home, I think, as well, even though we'll probably get into it. Most of the time, I think we have seen that free-flowing Spurs more at home has been with the 3-4-3, but we'll talk about, I think, tactics a bit later, Dave. But of course, it has been a fortress, and I think it's been kind of a goal from the beginning, Antonio Conte, basically since coming here, that he wanted the home games, or he wanted at least the home stadium to be practically a fixture that he could rely upon, could be an atmosphere that he could rely upon to get results, kind of any coming situation. And also maybe when the mood is a bit down, when the form is a bit down, Dave, it's nice to know that you're going into your home fixtures with a lot of form, with a lot of confidence. You might know that sometimes, like you said, maybe even the players know it themselves. Like, we seem to play like a different team at home. They might even admit it to themselves, because they know they have problems playing away from home at the moment. They know they've have found themselves kind of cowering a bit, or maybe not playing to the same quality that we know they can away from home. But when they do play at home, we've seen some exceptional performances from any of our players. We've seen Sonny hat tricks in this span of 15 minutes. We've seen Hojbjerg dominate midfields just by himself. We've seen the likes of Kane just cause people multiple problems. And I think we've even seen Emerson have good games, at home as well. So I think anything is possible, as we can tell. So Dave, I think we're carrying in a lot of good form, and going into home, and especially when we kind of need it after what happened Wednesday. We need this to be a fortress for us, and we need this to be a place where we can use that quote unquote bounce back ability, as people like to talk about.
Could not agree more. Absolutely could not agree more. And look, our home form, obviously we were better away at the time as well, but our home form the last season in White Hart Lane, and in general, sometimes on the pitch, kind of catapulted us into a couple of title races. So hopefully our home form this time around can do it. But Kuva, if we don't see a reaction today, should Spurs fans then really start to be concerned of maybe something potentially bubbling behind the scenes, maybe between manager and players, like we've seen previously with Jose and the players, Nuno and the players?
Absolutely. I mean, I've said it at the time on Wednesday. I can understand us losing sometimes. It's going to happen. It's elite level football. But the nature of that game on Wednesday, to me at the time, people said, oh, maybe I was overreacting, but it looked like the team didn't believe in what they were doing, and the manager didn't believe in what he was seeing either. We're looking at the bench, and then the pan to Conte, and he had the same face that I probably had on myself. I'm thinking, there's nothing on the bench that's going to change this either. Not when you've got this many players underperforming. What, you're really not going to turn it around unless you got somebody spectacular to come off the bench, and we just didn't. So I think if we back that up with another poor performance today, you've got to question where we're really heading at the moment. Then all of a sudden, those results from earlier in the season that got us into such a good position. The one was where we rode our luck a little bit, like against Wolves, where we scraped a 1-0 when we were by far the worst team on the pitch. If that had been a loss instead of that win, put them all together, and we're suddenly like, picture us in 8th instead of in 3rd. Doesn't look so rosy then. You put it all together, you've got to be worried. But we've got to respond today. It's so important. I mean,
maybe a follow-up question on that, Kuva. Is anything but a good performance and a win maybe unacceptable today, considering the display we've seen at United?
Newcastle are a good side, so if we don't get the result, it's not as important as putting in a performance that looks like we could have got a good result out of it. If we're flat again and show nothing for the fans, there's going to be anger. I mean, there was enough anger on Wednesday. Let's not gloss over it. I mean, Brian was hinting on it as well. That performance against United is utterly unacceptable on every level. You can't gloss over it, and you can't just say, oh, never mind, we're doing well in the league, let's move on. No, these players, everybody at the club needs to know the fury of the fans from that. This sort of performance cannot be repeated. We do it twice in a row. Oh, hell's going to break loose. That's how I feel about it. I'm angered by Wednesday. Still angry by it. There's people spending tens of thousands of pounds every season following this club all over the country and in Europe as well. You come up with that kind of performance, it's an insult. So 100%. the players owe the fans.
But not even that, Kuva. I mean, everyone pays money, even if you're paying for your TV, right? The TV deals to be able to watch the games. Most people have jerseys, scarves, whatever else, And I completely agree with you. I think there would be a really bad reaction if we don't get a good a win today. I completely agree. I think a lot of people will actually, believe it or not, I think a lot of people will start turning on the players if that's the case. Maybe not. Maybe I could be wrong. I do see a lot of people maybe questioning Conte of late, so maybe I could be wrong. But either way, I'm running a fan show after the game today, so feel free to come and join me and have your say after it. But Brandon Troller with a super chat here. He says, "Big up, fellas. Couple of questions. Do you sell Gill and Lucas in January? Also, thoughts on potentially bringing McKennie in? I believe he'd be meant. I'll take the Gill part, Brian. You can take the Lucas part, and Jack, you can take the McKennie part. Gill Messi, never, my man. Never. He showed glimpses against Frankfurt what he could do. Conte said it himself. Technically, he has a very good understanding of the game. He just needs to bulk up. Patience and time is what's needed. And by the way, I will be releasing a video on Monday that I've already done about patience and about having a bit of time. But that's where I'd be at with Gill Messi, my brother. Diego, what would you say, Lucas?
So from what I understand, Lucas is seeing out his contract and going back to Sao Paulo. It's already written in the stars. That's what he wants. He's even if we were to sell him now, how much are we going to get for him? How much are we going to get for him? And again, if he was to go, we then need to bring in another right winger as quality backup for when Kulusevski's fit. Where I think we need to focus more on getting the areas that we missed this window just gone, i.e. defender, i.e. some creative. So as much as I think Lucas's time has come, and thank you for everything he's done, I just don't see the value in selling him. Yes, we might get him a few million rather than a free when he goes to Sao Paulo, but there's other areas that need to address. And if we get rid of him, we need to address that area as well. So for me, I understand why people say it's time to go, but I think it's a pointless transfer.
It's time to go. But Jacko, he also says thoughts on maybe Weston McKennie coming in here.
He has some attributes. He has some attributes that Conte probably would like, that box-to-box sort of nature. He could run all over the place, really, really strong as well, loves a good physical kind of battle. Offers probably more of an attacking threat than the rest of our midfielders at the moment too, just because of, I think, that athleticism that he can bring getting up and down the pitch a bit more. He also has like some pretty exceptional like kind of just in the box. Like he loves to roam in the box, kind of like Thomas Suchek, kind of style, and then just somehow, finds the ball just at his feet, and he usually can kind of finish it. I think I kind of rate his ability to actually score, I would say, when kind of, wandering forward. So that could be really useful to us. And we know he's probably defensively good enough that Conte wouldn't be too sketched out with having him in the team either. So I actually kind of welcome the McKennie. I think in the past, I think I've been a bit skeptical about it with, sort of the 3-4-3, but with, maybe the 3-5-2 continuing to be, kind of deployed more often, I think it makes a lot of sense, actually, McKennie, to be fair. But I will admit that, I haven't been the first on the train with McKennie. But just quickly, Dave, you and I are both the caretakers of the prophecy of Hill Messi.
Prime caregivers.
I'd say you keep him around. But at the same time, since we are both the caretakers of his prophecy, I think it's just best that the club run it by us in case they are going to loan him out. We can pick the club, pick the manager, just pick his destination. So since we are the caretakers of his future, basically.
Love that. Well, there you are, Brandon Troller. Let us know, my man. Let us know, even if it's just in the chat, brother. Let us know what your thoughts are to what we've had to say to your super chat. But big up, brother. Faz Radfar. We do have someone else to bring in. Just give me 1 minute. Faz Radfar says Conte is angry. Let's see what that would mean. Well, I mean, if Conte was angry, if I was, be honest, regardless whether I was in my jockstrap or whether I was fully dressed, I'd be looking to run away from Antonio Conte when that guy's angry. I'd say he's an absolute savage. I just wouldn't fancy it. And hopefully, with him being angry, the players get scared and see a reaction on the pitch. Because I know some people will say, oh, it's not the modern day way of playing, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't care less. At the end of the day, sometimes you need to be angry. You need to have a bit of fear for the person in charge so that you actually do what you're supposed to do and carry out the instructions. So big up Faz Radfire. And Kuva, we're going to give this one to you from Shem Tan. He says, are we a team scared to be creative because of Conte's rules? And I basically think what he means by that is
patterns.
What he asked for from his team in the tactics.
Yeah, I'll get it. I think this is a longer term question because this started happening last season under Pochettino, who are absolute Pochettino fan through and through. But when we didn't invest and the team started deteriorating and they didn't get the fresh blood in, we started to see the pressing game was dropping off. We're falling further and further back. As we're doing that, getting more nervous about attacking, Mourinho comes in, who plays with that very sort of defensive-minded way of playing, giving up possession a lot. When we got less of the ball and we're already a little bit nervous about the way we attack, you're relying on pure talent of some world-class players. We got through that bit with Sonny and Kane, them working brilliantly over the last few seasons together. What we're seeing in the rest of it, in my opinion, is players that do not feel comfortable on the ball. There's no confidence when they do have it. The passing game's gone completely. We used to be known for being a silky, smooth passing team. We can barely string 3 passes together nowadays. There's no confidence, no belief in the attacking side of our game anymore. We're relying on purely individuals to turn something around. It's all gone to pot. Is it down to Conte? Doesn't help the way we're playing at the moment, but I think this has been going on for a few seasons now. We've built this sort of culture around the club. We've built this sort of mental attitude as well. It's got to be changed. Conte, if he can't break this sort of cycle and get the best out of some of these players, who is going to? You could probably argue against, argue for the likes of a Harry Redknapp in and just doing this wild change in style. I mean, some managers can have this effect for a while, but I think at the end of the day, it comes down to player quality. We've got players that just aren't up to the job.
Do you know what? Kuva, you must have watched the video I sat there putting together last night and recording, my man. Culture, DNA, winning mentality, all in there. So absolutely love that.
I haven't had time, mate. I'll have to give it a look.
I haven't even uploaded it. It's still on StreamYard. I have to pull it down and upload it, but somehow you must have tuned in. But no, I absolutely fully agree with you. Fully agree with you. And for me, my whole thing about it all is like, in order for us to be able to create that culture, that winning DNA and stuff like that, it takes time. And we can't keep affording to swap managers. every single couple of years. 17 months Jose was in the job. 4 months Nuno was in the job. Conte's not even here a year yet. And we're already looking to keep swapping and changing. But where you look at Klopp at Liverpool, could have been sacked in the first year or two. They got slapped up by West Brom. We're doing all this in front of the crowd. But what it was doing was creating a DNA, a culture within the club, bringing everybody together. And ultimately, instead of sacking him, and though they gave him time, look what he went on to win with Liverpool. Absolutely everything a club can win. Sir Alex Ferguson at United was due to get sacked, completely flipped the script, done it his own way, brought in a load of youngsters, played his way. Ultimately, United went on to win, 38 trophies in 26 years or something like that. So the proof is in the pudding. You have to give a manager a try. In order to create that sort of effect, what we're looking for, you have to give a manager time. And we can either give Conte time, or else we can be forced to give a manager time like United fans are with Ten Hag and like Arsenal fans were with Mikel Arteta. So what I would say is sort of pick your poison. Big up, Shem.
You could take this all. You can take some of this argument all the way back to Glenn Hoddle's time in charge of the club, 20 years ago. He wanted to bring in. Well, we're on the brink of bringing in Fernando Morientes and Samuel Eto'o for about 12 million. Haggled over it, got neither. We get Bobby Zamora, Helga Postiga. We're looking at a manager, Hoddle. Now, Hoddle, despite his problems he's had in club management over the years, you could see at international level, he knows how to get the job done. He knows how to get a team that can be focused on. So you get the manager, the players he needs to do the job, you're in business. We don't do that. We chop and change all the time. We're still seeing this happening. I have no doubt Conte's going to be gone before long as well, one way or another. And we're doing it all over again. Let's hope I'm wrong, but that's our track record.
I do hope you're wrong. I do hope you're wrong, because I do want to keep Conte at the helm. But look, we're going to bring in Philip. We've got a super chat here from 2J. Right up Philip Street. Let's give it to him and see what he thinks. Let's see how his signal is in the middle of, I don't know.
I love how you moved. I love how you moved on there and didn't let me answer where Cooper was going there. No, mate. You know what? I'm actually thanking you. I'm actually thanking you for doing that. I'm actually thanking you. It was fantastic. Thank you.
No, because I'm coming back to you with something else, but I'm not spending. Me and you were in a rush, and I want to talk about tactics and lineups. But Mr. Brady, first of all, how are you keeping? What sea are you in today?
Yeah. I think we're in the Atlantic Ocean, about 600 miles off the coast of Canada.
Come on, Phil. Come on.
Come on. And I'm sitting here in a one-bed box apartment. Thank you, Philip. You're making me feel great about my life. But Philip, 2J says here, I think we're being a bit too harsh on, and you were listening to us in the background. The fact that Kulu and Richie are injured destroys the 3-4-3, which Conte and the players have been working on since he got there. I mean, do you think we're being a bit harsh right now as Spurs fans, Philip? What would you say to 2J's comment here?
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't help when the two players you brought in to bolster the attack are both out injured at the same time. But that shit happens, you know. It's just happened at the minute. I think of the two, we're missing Kulusevski more than Richarlison, but that may change as time goes on. As regards the style of play that Kuva was talking about there, yeah, take your point up to a point, but I'll also point back to the end of last season when we were scoring goals for fun. And like going to Villa winning 4-0, going to Leeds winning 4-0, going to Norwich winning 5-0. You know, that can't happen again. But we need the personnel playing in the team, and that's where Kulu comes in. I know he was instrumental in all three of those games. You know, so I haven't really been tuned into a lot of what's been going on the last few days because the internet's a bit dodgy out here. But like I'm surprised at the negativity regarding Conte that's been coming back. You know, for God's sake, we get a manager. We haven't even given him a year yet, and some people want him gone. You know, it's not. You know, this time 12 months, possibly then we might be talking about him going if things haven't worked out, but not just now, please. You know, I'd love to see Poch back at the club, but not at the expense of Antonio Conte. You know.
Yeah, the timing's wrong, isn't it, mate?
But
very wrong. Yeah.
I also want to add. I mean, we're sitting here like we're going to get Pochettino. We've done this before under Jose Mourinho. Everyone was telling me we're going to get that skinny jean wearing merchant Nagelsmann. You know, and what did we end up with? We ended up with Nuno. So, you know, let's not put pressure on Conte and keep putting Poch's name in there, thinking we're going to end up with Poch as soon as Conte goes. Because we thought we were going to end up with Nagelsmann, and that didn't happen. So I would be a bit wary. But Jack, anything you want to say to 2J here before we move on?
I think the Godfather absolutely agrees with 2J here, and I'll be honest. I look at the right wing position. I look at what Kulusevski brings to the 3-4-3. 2J. With the benefit of hindsight, I think we can all say that Lucas maybe isn't going to be able to sort of bring what he can do there. Hill Messi, as much as I want to say he can, we're not really sure. And then Richarlison has simply not impressed enough in that right wing position. So we've had kind of three different players sort of available to make the 3-4-3 click, so to speak. And we've kind of found out that none of them yet this season have been really able to truly do so. And also most of them have just been injured. Like Lucas has been hurt this whole time. And then Richie has just gotten hurt. So he hasn't given himself more chances to get better. So 2J, I just feel like, with the benefit of hindsight now, we sort of look at it. Kulusevski is the guy that makes the 3-4-3 click more than we ever thought. Maybe we thought it was Kane. Maybe we thought it was the wingbacks, but it's really Kulusevski at the moment that makes it all work for us. And with these injuries and everything that we're facing, it's going to be tough, and we're going to have to grind out results. And I'm kind of in your boat. I'm not really panicking too much about it, but I am disappointed to maybe find out that he is that much of a linchpin to make that whole thing sort of kind of click and work together. And it is kind of disappointing to rely on somebody maybe so much, for that system. But, I think we're going to work ourselves out of it.
100%.
I think that's the point. If you're relying so much on a single player to make your system work, you've got no depth and quality. That's what it comes down to. We shouldn't be that dependent on Kulusevski, but we are to get that 3-4-3 working.
Yeah. Look, again, everyone wait for my masterpiece coming out on Monday. I'm not even going to go into it again, but wait until it comes out. A lot of good, what's the right expression? Food for thought, I think.
Well, take a look at it then, 2J. Take a look at it then, 2J.
Food's on my mind, so we're going to stick with that. But 2J, big yourself up, but I really appreciate the support. Jacko Darkson G here for you. He says, Liverpool will keep dropping points while Jota and Diaz are out, which is great for us. I pray we win today. And versus Bournemouth, and versus Bournemouth, and then Marseille as well, and then finally beat Liverpool while Liverpool drops. Do you think that's possible? Can we win all them games?
I really hope it's possible because we need a winning groove again, Dark Sun G, and these are supposed to be winning games. You look at the likes of Sporting, that's going to be at home for us, and we owe them a result after that horrendous capitulation, especially after what ultimately ended up just being a terrible performance by Spurs, Dark Sun G, and we could have gotten out of there 0-0 and just kind of been like, wow, I mean, that was disappointing, but it ended up just getting made a whole lot worse. So I hope that we kind of give them a bit of revenge at home. With the likes of Bournemouth, what's funny about them is that if it were still Scott Parker, I would say, we could win this 6-0, but now they're actually a better team since he's left, and that's kind of been the trend since Scott Parker has left his teams, Dark Sun G, is that teams get better when he leaves their club. So that will be an interesting one. But I think we should still win. And then Marseille, I would say out of all those, might be the most difficult one because they're in a bit of good form. We all know about their sort of atmosphere away from home, how difficult they make it. And also, we just don't simply play well away from home. But I really do think, Dark Sun G, when I look at it, I'd like to say 9 out of 12 points, maybe, out of that.
David, can I just add something on this? What I want to add on this is I want to go back to the very first question you asked me when you said, are people overreacting with the results, or are they doing this? What we've got to stop, and this isn't about Dark Sun G, this is in general as Spurs fans, and I hold myself accountable, like I said to this. We've got to stop, just as much as people say, "Oh, you're overreacting," we've got to stop assuming that just because Jota and Diaz are out, it means Liverpool were going to drop points, or these big teams are going to drop points, and think that we have a divine right to win these games. Like Jack said, Bournemouth have got so much better. And this is if this had been La Liga or Serie A or Liga, whatever they call it, there's two teams that do everything and win everything and everything. This league is the toughest league in the world because you just on any given day, anyone can beat anyone. And I look at it and I had this question come up at me saying, look at it, we've got 3 of the next 4 games at home. We're going to win all 9 points just because we've won all 7 games at home, which is an incredible record. But immediately, that's why we get our expectations. So, and that's why you asked, do people overreact?
We should have our expectations high.
But that's the thing. But when we have, it's good to have your expectations high. But when they don't come off, and everyone goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake," it's because things when you think, "Oh, because they're injured or they're injured, we got the better team. That means we win." And when it doesn't happen, then people start getting pissed off. So it's just a vicious circle that goes around. I get exactly what Dark Suns is saying, completely, totally, and utterly. It's just look, Liverpool. We're saying Liverpool should keep dropping points with Jota and Diaz. And like I said at the beginning, they haven't won an away game. And who's their next game? It's us. And we all of this could be just go, here you go, have some of Dr. Tottenham. And they won't drop points. They'll play an absolute fucking blinder. And they'll be like, oh, yeah. So this is the Premier League. We've got to remember this. Any other league, I kind of agree. But this is the Premier League where anyone beats anyone.
Yeah, I think especially now, we have a top 7 nowadays. It's no longer a top 4, top 6.
Yeah, you're right, Kuva.
Yeah, that's true. And then the Premier League is becoming harder. And if you look at it, like, you know, all top 6 teams have dropped points so far this earlier on into the season. But Daxo G, I like to live in hope. I like to believe we should win all them games and Liverpool should drop them points. So we'll wait and see, brother. But big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support, lad. Absolutely love it. I hope you enjoyed the conversation off the back of that. And THFC till I die says, in Conte we trust. He will be successful. Come on, you Spurs. My type of comment, Dermot. Big yourself up, Dermotron. Big yourself up, man. Really appreciate the support and absolutely love that. Now, look, we're going to bypass a lot of the other talking points I've had, and we're going to get straight to talking about formation and about positions today, because no doubt that's going to take up the next 45 minutes. So, guys, we're going to get into talking about the formation. Now, just bear with me. I have to skip all these beautiful questions. So, we'll start with Jack, and we'll work our way around the panel. Everyone will get a say. Jack, Conte did go back to the 3-5-2 against United, and it was not a success. We were awful, and I understand why he did because of injuries, etc. But the truth is, he still could have fielded a 3-4-3 in my eyes. Yeah. Do you think Conte will stick with the 3-5-2 play?
Yeah, he's going to go with the 3-5-2 again. He's going to give it another go. I think a lot of it wasn't his own fault for why the 3-5-2 didn't work that day. A lot of it had to do, I think, how the midfield just simply let him down in a lot of areas. Also the wingbacks as well. But apart from that, Dave, you're absolutely right that he could have then switched to the 3-4-3 in the second half to maybe amend for maybe what was going wrong. I think he has the opportunity to just go for the exact same game plan again. Start with the 3-5-2, see if it ends up working out for him, see if it delivers exactly what a lot of people who are big proponents of the 3-5-2 know it can deliver, because I know we've seen the 3-5-2 work so far this season. And so I think it is the right formation to start with, just because of the personnel we have available to us today. But then if we find ourselves in that situation that we were with United, where we weren't really creating a whole lot, Son and Kane weren't exactly getting a lot of service, Hojbjerg or Bentancur weren't really getting forward as much as we needed them to, then we switched to the 3-4-3 sooner rather than later, because what Conte ended up doing, Dave, was just waiting way too long and ended up kind of just, ended up burning us. And by the time he did switch to the 3-4-3, we actually did look better, but it was just way too late. So I think he has an opportunity to maybe amend for that, and an opportunity to maybe change that if it happens again. I don't want that to happen again, though, where he has to switch systems and he has to concede a goal a minute and a half after halftime. But hopefully he can learn from that mistake, I would say, Dave.
Look, I think he needs to. I think he needs to. I'm going to share my thoughts in a minute. But Diego, today, what would you like to see, the 3-5-2 or the 3-4-3?
I'm really so I've been on your show and many shows chomping about the 3-5-2. I've been a real advocate for it. I've been a real what I saw on Wednesday, really, I mean, like Hoover said, I'm still so bitter about it. I'm still so enraged by it, because at least show some passion, at least show some desire, at least show some fight. It was horrific. It was a car crash, but I think, again, with the formation, with the players we have out, he's going to be forced to play the 3-5-2. And if I was Conte, and I'm only saying if I was so enraged with that performance, I would drop one of those three and bring Ollie Skipping.
Yeah,
that's what I would do. Whether, listen, Hojbjerg, who we all know, we all wax lyrical, especially you, David, me, Kirst, Ellie, about how fantastic he's been. He was embarrassing on Wednesday. And like I said, if you're man enough to give praise, you've got to give. If you're man enough to slate, you've got to give praise. And the other way, he was embarrassing. Benton Core, embarrassing. They're all three of them. All three of them were embarrassing. And I would, if I was Conte, I'd bring Skip in and say, "You think I'm accepting that? One of you are coming out. I don't." And that's for him to decide, because I love Skippy anyway. But I think on the discussion of formation, I think he is. I think by default he needs to play the 3-5-2 with the personnel available.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Kuva, Kieran has a good comment here. He says the formation is not more important than how the players perform. If we play like Wednesday 3-5-2 versus 3-4-3, won't matter. We will lose. I mean, you
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely agree. At the end of the day, formation is just numbers on a bit of paper. You can play different ways within all of those systems. You can, what's the three in the midfield going to do? One of them can be an advanced player, two sitting back, vice versa. You could have all three going box to box and taking it in turns if you really want to. It does depend on individual performance. You can only coach so far. You can only give so many tactics. You can only drill in certain ways of playing to the players. When they go out on the pitch, they have got to apply it. And if they're not up to the job, or they're not mentally prepared for it, or they're weak in character, they are going to get battered. And that's what I saw on Wednesday. That's what was so
formation do you prefer? What formation do you prefer when you look at it? What do you prefer?
I'm with Jack and Brian. I just don't think we've got any choice but to be 3-5-2 today.
I'm going to disagree with that in a minute. I have a reason why, but I'll disagree with that in a minute.
Yeah, I'm no fan of either Lucas Moura or Brian Hill, so I don't see any really 3-4-3 formations coming out of this. I think Skip will come in. I think it's going to be ahead of Basuma. I think Basuma was the worst of the three in midfield on Wednesday. He just gave the ball away every time he got it, it seemed like. I think he's probably going to get a bit of a smack over the knuckles. But like, as Brian said, he could have picked any of those three in midfield. Yeah. They were just shocking, all three of them. I think Skippy's got to come in. It shows a bit of faith in Skip as well. I think Conte has expressed his admiration for him as a player. So a bit of a change up. You could be right, though, David. They might change it up front as well. It could be a Lucas Moura coming in there as punishment for some of these players.
Is where I'm going. Perisic is where I'm thinking, Kuva. And I do have a question. Well. Actually, look, I'll even pose that question to you now, and then we'll move on to Philip. A lot is being made with the injuries law saying that we can't play the 3-5 or we can't play the 3-4-3. And I get it to a certain extent. But it's false. We can't play the 3-4-3. Perisic, we know, he's been absolutely he's been good going forward. He's a consistent crosser of the ball, despite not being great defensively, and it hasn't really worked out from that wing back. But Kuva, do you think he can transition and that we can play him in a more advanced role today and maybe get a lot more out of him, do you think?
Well, if he's going to do that, he's going to have to play on the right, and he didn't look very good on the right when we earlier in the season. You could argue Perisic is more your winger type who gets in the wide positions and put a cross in. He can cut inside, of course, but he doesn't seem to have those goals in him at the moment, does he? He's very few shots coming in. So if you're going to play him wide, I think he's better on the left. But then what do you do with Sonny? Play him on the right?
Well, Kuva, can I just ask you a question? Well, with that, I think Perisic, we saw him at right wing back against Leicester, was bad defensively, bad. I reckon if he was in that 3-4-3 that David's talking to play right up top, you're taking that defensive responsibility away from him. Yeah, and I think that you may see him better as a right winger as opposed to a right wing back, where he's a much better left wing back than he may be left winger, if you know what I mean.
Yes, it's quite possible. Quite possible. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, the lineups will be out in about an hour's time, so it'll be interesting to see what Conte goes with. But Philip, I mean, regardless of the formation, do you expect to see changes today, my man?
Well, I had the pleasure of not seeing the match on Wednesday night because they weren't showing it on the ship. They showed the Liverpool game. But just before I get into the formation, why in God's name, after 100 years of playing at Old Trafford in white shirts, did they use that second strip on Wednesday night? What is the reason for that? Unbelievable. As if that strip has jinxed us. It really is. As regards to formation, I mean, Okay, if Perisic does come in a 3-4-3, that's the only option we have other than a 3-5-2, because the two boys, Carlos and Kulu, aren't fit. So I think he'll have to go for a 3-5-2, but he might spring that surprise. You're possibly right there. He may spring a surprise and play Perisic up front, which I think, like I saw him against Leicester. Defensively in the first half an hour, he was terrible until they switched him over to the left-hand side. But and I think Arsenal have just scored as well, by the way, to make our day even better. But anyway,
Granit Xhaka's turned into the best midfielder in the world all of a sudden.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think it probably will be a 3-5-2 today. But again, again, those three, from what I've read and what I've heard, those three in midfield should be absolutely chomping at the bit to restore their reputations today, because they absolutely ruined them on Wednesday night. But as I would like to see Oliver Skipp get a look in. I think Oliver Skipp deserves a start today. He can take any one of those three out for me. I don't care which one of them goes out as long as Skipp comes in. Yeah. And we'll see about Lucas Moura up front or Perisic. Maybe it'll happen. But certainly I'd say they'll go out. They will go out in that pitch today. Their ears will be ringing from the bollocking that Conte gave them on Wednesday night. And I hope gives them. Let's have our halftime team talk before the game today, because often we've gone out in the first half and been slow, lethargic. Second half, come out a completely different team. Let's just change that. You know, the game. I'll be able to see the game today. They're actually showing it here on the ship. So if you hear somebody jumping overboard at 6:30, you know who it was.
I'll come and swim. How far are you away from Canada, Phil?
You want to be a good swimmer to get this far, Brian. 600.
I'll come and rescue you. With
about 600 miles with 2 days.
Music. It'll be the Bay. You'll hear the Baywatch music.
We'll send Pamela Anderson, will you?
Oh, I had many fun times looking at her when I was younger. But look, we're going to move on. That brings back nostalgia.
Let's talk Everton now, shall we?
I'm actually going to open up the can of worms now, Dave. I've been trying to hold it back, but look, there's only so long you can hold it back for. And we'll just start with. We'll actually start at the bottom of the pan. We'll Philip and work our way back this time. Last season, we absolutely demolished Newcastle 5-1. We actually went 1-0 down and turned it around. 4 of the goals that day came from wide areas. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Doherty and Emerson might have actually scored. Didn't Doherty play back that day? With wing-backs playing a vital role last time out and could potentially this time out, I mean, who starts at wing-back? And look, for me, I'm going to kick this off and then Philip can come in. Of course, Emerson is available today after selection or after suspension, back after 3 games. For me, I don't think Doherty's played well. I think there's been way too much made of Matt Doherty. I think against Brighton, absolutely bang average. I think he played good for 45 minutes against Everton, but shouldn't need to get a bollocking at halftime to come out and produce. And the other night, he was absolutely awful. Every time he got the ball, he passed on responsibility inside to Bentancur. He's a scared little boy on the ball, and he's nowhere near the player that he was in that 6-game run last season. So, and for me, when Emerson plays, I don't care what people tell me. I listen to you, but for me, I just think we look creative. And I'm not saying Emerson is a world beater or that or this or the other, but at least the guy tries to do the right things. At least he tries to cross the ball. Whereas Matt Doherty just passes on responsibility. So on that basis, I'm actually going Emerson at right wing back. Philip, who are you picking?
My heart says Doherty, but I think Conte will put Emerson back in.
Why?
I don't know. He just seems to like him. He just seems to prefer. I don't think Doherty would have played the last 3 matches had Emerson not been suspended. I think Emerson would have been just straight through. So I mean, let's put it this way: neither of them are good enough. But who's the least worst of them? Who is the least?
Who wins the micro competition? Like Mia likes to says this time. Who wins it?
Philip, do you think
maybe Spence could come in with a shout? Coming back in today.
Do you think Spence could be in with a shout? I mean, the first thing he done was actually drive at the Man United defence, which, although it didn't lead to much, I actually admired it because that's what I want from my wing backs. Do you think maybe he could be in with a shout, Philip?
Sorry, I missed it. Who's that player? I missed the thing when dead for a second there. Who are you saying?
Jedi, Spence.
Oh, Jedi. Oh, yeah. Oh, geez, you know what my thoughts on him? I'd love to see him in the team. I would love to see him. Instead of sitting, he's getting splinters in his ass sitting on the bench every match. But is today the day he's going to do it? I still think his debut is coming against Forest in the Carabao Cup. That'll be his full debut. And let's see what he can do after that. But I'd love to see him come in, but no, he won't. Not today.
I agree. Now, Kuva, slightly a different question for you, but it's still the same sort of topic, just asked in a different way. Believe it or not, between all of our wingbacks, they have scored just one goal, which was Sessions against Southampton, and have managed just one assist from actual open play. So, on that basis, and we know we badly need them to start chipping in creativity-wise, who do you pick tonight, Kuva?
They're all shit.
Are you ready to get your boots out, dust them off, get on there?
Lucky dip. At the moment, if we, on our right flank, if Kulusevski isn't playing, we just don't have a right flank. That's all there is to it. So I'm with Philip there. Might as well give Jed Spence a go. At least there's something about him, because I've got no faith in Doherty or Emerson. Neither of them. Doherty just can't deal with it all. He can occasionally do some good things going forward, but he gets pinned back too easy. He hasn't got the pace to go up and down the wing, or the stamina to do that all game long. Emerson, oh my God. I'm moving on. I'm not even... He doesn't even deserve a football.
Let me ask you this, Scoop.
He already had his moment as well, Dave. He already had his moment today. He was celebrating until this stage.
I just wanted to get to the bottom of something just quickly. So, obviously, I think you're picking Doherty today, correct?
No, I'll pick Jed Spence.
Spence, okay. What is it about Emerson and Doherty that you think they lack to be able to play at a club like Tottenham Hotspur?
Quality. Ability, belief, consistency, awareness, footballing intelligence, credibility.
Fair. You're making me feel depressed now. No, fair. Look, I think
to be fair, they both have something I do admire about them. And that is they're eager to try. Despite what you said about Doherty, I'd quite admired what he did last season when he was under huge criticism. Instead of whining and complaining about it, he went away, tried to work on his game, came back, put in a few decent shifts. I just don't think he's got the physical attributes to do a wing-back role. I think he lacks both pace, acceleration, stamina, whatever. All those physical attributes. Emerson has got all of those and doesn't know what to bloody do with any of it. So between the two of them, you probably got a player and then somebody who shouldn't play football.
Yeah. Look, that's fair. Diego, I mean, King Hoddle's right here. I think it was Maria described it as who has the larger micro penis sort of.
That's what I was trying to say.
I mean, Diego,
who wins it today, Daigle? Who wins the micro?
Okay, so first of all, after I've done this, you may want to thank Rod Wallace because he's gifted 5 memberships.
Yeah, he's gifted 5.
But listen, I'm going to tell you my order of who I want to play right wing back today. Jed Spence, Matt Doherty, Fraser Foster, Paratici, Conte, Donna Cullen, Levy, and then if all else fails, maybe put a bit of Emerson in. I'm sorry.
We'll be having on We Are Tottenham TV.
Listen.
Sure.
Like I said, Dave, I understand where you come from with his defensive. I actually think he's a fairly decent defender when he does do that, and he can do that bit. But like you just said at the beginning, in this style of football, the wing backs are needed for creativity. Perisic has got the most assists. Perisic has the most successful crosses in the Premier League. He is doing what he came here to do. We were umming and ahhing about his overall performance and his defensive duties, but what he has been brought in to do, like it or not, he is doing it. On the right-hand side, without, like I said, with Kulusevski, we might as well just play. We might as well just forget the right-hand side and just overload this bit here. This should be our formation. When you do it, don't do it as across the pitch. Do it up until the right side and just leave that clear for people. Because it's a fundamental problem, and it's been a fundamental problem for a very, very long time. When Kulusevski's there, he completes that right side. One player for both defensive, and that's not right. That's not right. So I want to see, like I've said all along, Jed Spence, I think when he gets his chance, will take it and will be a great player. I really, really do. I wanted a player to come in that would offer more experience like Perisic has done for Cesc. But that didn't happen, obviously. And when Spence does get his chance, he will take it. But I would love, like you said, just seeing him drive at the Man U defence right near the end. You got to remember, we were 2-0 down. It was like the last few minutes. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to. He could have just passed it off or had a bit of nerves. Oh my God, I'm at Old Trafford, and just passed it on. But no, he absolutely bombed with a sense of purpose, and that's what we want to see. So I'm with Kuva. I'm Spence all day long. Will we see it? No.
I just want to see it.
Yeah, sorry. I think the only trouble with Spence is he's going to be naive. We're going to have to expect a lot of mistakes with him. He's not that great at reading the game from what I've seen of him. So there will be errors, but at least it's some excitement. It's some direct drive to him. He takes players on. He beats his man. If he can get in a few crosses, get the crowd on his side early on, I think he'd make a big difference. Bit of confidence, put some wind in his sails. We could look better for it.
Kuva, look, we expect problems and mistakes with Emerson and Doherty.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? What's the difference?
See, here's where I'm at, right? I would much rather see a right wing back at least try to do the same thing. Don't get me wrong. I get angry just as anybody when the cross isn't up to standard and whatever else. But I'd much rather, if I had to pick where we're at right now, I'd much rather see a player do the right thing rather than constantly refuse to do the right thing, which is what Doherty does, in my opinion. But Jack, where are you at with this debate? Are you King Huddle #save Emerson, or are you with Daigle? Where it's Doherty, or are you with Kuva where it's sort of like Jedi?
I'm Jedi. I'm Jedi.
No matter who you want to win the micropenis debate, Dave, we can all be united by our love for Jed Spence and our wantingness to see Jed Spence. I even think most people like King Hoddle and myself, who will pick Emerson over Doherty, still want to see Jed Spence. I have been, even caught on camera multiple times this season, Dave, saying, you know what, I don't need to see Emerson today. I have seen plenty of Emerson, would love to see Jed Spence instead. And we haven't been given that luxury or been given that chance to do so. So if it really is going to come down to the classic debate between Doherty and Emerson, I feel like Doherty took his chance when in that Everton game. When he transitioned to the 3-5-2, he showed what he could bring. And then when given the chance against Man United in the 3-5-2, he showed his classic Doherty chances or his classic Doherty tendencies, which is maybe to do one or two good things, but then just proceed to just not do anything for the whole game or proceed to even want to do anything. If anything, I would also say the difference between Doherty and Emerson is Emerson will continue to try. I don't think Doherty actually does continue to try. I think Doherty has a much better first touch than Emerson. I think he has a much better footballing brain than Emerson, but at least Emerson continues to bomb down the flank, and at least Emerson continues to do kind of the things that we were just asking Doherty to do against Man United. Take on his man and try to do something. Emerson will take on his man, do nothing with it. I grant you that. I will accept that. But at least he tries to do it. And that's what it felt like we needed against Man United. And that's where I got disappointed in Doherty, because you see him put in a performance like he did against Everton in the 3-5-2, which in my honesty kind of put out Emerson and kind of made you...
He had to be begged for that performance, and it was only really the second half.
Yeah, his first half, but just to be nice to him, just because I see the lens with beautiful Emerson goggles, beautiful rose-tinted Emerson goggles, I do want to be kind to Doherty and try to be fair and balanced here. He had a good second half, Dave, and he really repaired that first half performance. And I thought that second half performance against Everton was so good, in fact, that you sort of kind of thought to yourself, well, if he continues that again, like he is going to displace Emerson and he is going to make Emerson the number 2. Then he kind of pulls off that one against Man United. And then you sort of think to yourself, well, what Emerson would have brought, and that would have been a better defensive performance that would have also brought maybe a bit more pace down the flanks, because what we really needed that game was a bit more pace down the flanks. It just felt like Luke Shaw, Dave, just had nothing to do on that right-hand side coming up against him. He had no bit of threat, in behind. Luke Shaw is also not a pacey guy himself, as we all know, doesn't really have that ability to turn. I think Emerson would have been able to burn him a few times running down the flanks. And we even saw what Jed Spence did in the 8 seconds that he gets on the pitch. He took on his man, went down the byline, and did something that Doherty hadn't done all game. And so that's where I sort of stand on this, Dave, is we all want to see Jed Spence because we know he can do things that Emerson can't, and we know he can do things that Doherty can't. He, in fact, is probably a much better blend between the two, if we're going to be honest. But if you had to pick for the micro penis competition, I'm going to give Emerson the win yet again, Dave.
Yeah. Look, that's look, Emerson or Spence for me. I think you're the same. I think, look, everyone would love to see Spence today, so let's wait to see if it happens. Now, that back line was
just quickly, Dave. Rob Wallace with the five
Sorry,
gifted memberships. He said Mark New has been re-gifted one. Good to see you, Mark New. Hopefully, we can get you back on, my man. Take advantage. And also, absolutely love his tweets as well. Love Mark New's tweets. Chris Benoit, really want to hear Chris Benoit. Really love him in the chat as well. Hopefully you can come on, my man. Take advantage. Gary Blogs, take advantage, please. Good to see you in here. Pierogi gifted one. I really want to see you come on here, Pierogi, you absolute legend. And then Shamu Van Spurs was gifted one as well. Shamu, absolutely love it, my man. Come on and have your say, brother. And then Pierogi as well. Legends.
Well, big up Rob Wallace, my man. Absolute generous thing to do. He's constantly at every single week, dishing out the memberships and hopefully encouraging more and more Spurs fans to come out with a woodwork and have their say. So, Rob, big yourself up secretly. He doesn't get enough credit, but he's been driving this community a little lately, by doing that and opening it up and encouraging more people to come on after say. So, absolutely big up Rob Wallace. Now, look, we're going to talk about the back line. Probably not too much really to talk about. I think we'll all agree on this change. But our back line at United were a joke, borderline disgraceful, if you want me to be honest. We allowed 28 shots on our goal, the most faced by any team in any Premier League game this season, and also the most that a team managed by Conte has faced in a top-flight game. So, guys, Jack, we'll just go to you on this one. Do you think Conte will make any changes to it? Shocking stats, by the way.
To the 3-5-2, Dave.
No. To 28 shots. Our backline, it was disgraceful. United had 28 shots on our goal, the most faced by any Premier League team this season, and the most faced by Conte with any top flight team faced.
We were already averaging. I think we were already averaging some of the most conceded, I think, before that. But it might have been a real tactic, probably, of United's, Dave, to maybe unleash all those shots. I have noticed they do that against most teams anyway. But then they knew against Spurs it really was going to be a field day because they do enjoy seemingly having shots from outside the box. Man United, they don't really get as many chances inside the box. It feels like a lot of their chances actually come from outside the box by the looks of things. And so what they, really had was a field day against Spurs, the opportunity to pretty much have any player, get a chance to be able to have a shot on goal. It felt that way with Dallo. He had a license to shoot. Felt like Luke Shaw had a license to shoot. Bruno had a license to shoot. They all, when had any bit of space, would just take cracks at Hugo. I think that actually also kind of got into Spurs' head. Let's be honest, because when we are kind of sitting deeper and deeper and deeper, and the more shots we keep conceding, probably the deeper we end up sitting, unless we had a real commander in the back line that, tells us to get our shit together. Let's be honest. But we just didn't have that day, Dave. And so we just conceded more and more shots. And I think we got more and more flustered by it. And I probably would think it was a tactic maybe by Man United in particular, even though I know they already take a lot of shots as is. I bet they, were said, lads, this is the day where you really have the free license because it probably might rattle Spurs. And I think it did rattle Spurs with how many shots they were taking, because a lot of them really were kind of pretty silly shots and were, really more prayers, if anything. But with how deep we were ending up, sitting, it just eventually led to a goal.
See, what them shots do, though, Jack, it offers the opposition encouragement. Then it makes you naturally just sit deeper and deeper and deeper. And eventually you will concede like what we've seen. And for me, we've real big problems here. They can't be pressed. They can't play out over press. You press the back line, you're going to get rewards. That's been seen this season. And I hate to say it to people, but I told you this was going to happen. People were saying to me, and look, in fact, I actually have a list like I did with the Harry Kane slander at the time. But, people were saying to me, Dyer's a leader. He's bilingual. He's brilliant. Ben Davies is like the Great Wall of China. Nothing gets by him. This, that, and the other. Sanchez, he keeps clean sheets. What are you talking about there? And I said, stop fluffing up these stats. I'm not sitting here eating candy floss. Stop fluffing it up. Be honest. They're against teams that can't score goals. Nottingham Forest, Wolves, can't buy goals. I said to people, against the big games, at the big teams, in the big games, in the big moments, it's where it's going to cost you. And so far, every single big game, in every single big moment, it's absolutely fucking cost us. So I say it to people, tell me now we don't need to improve this back line. Tell me now improving this back line was not an emergency in the summer, like I tried to say to people. And the results of it is what you're seeing in the big games, in the big moments on the pitch. And I'm not surprised this is happening because I told people it was going to happen. And my point is, again, I'll be alluding it to when I release my video on Monday. Just be honest with, look, we love the guys. I get it. We adore them. But it doesn't mean we should overlook their flaws and how much they really cost this football club. Your love should not outweigh how much they cost this football club in the big moments, in my opinion. But for me, you want to play the modern way. You want to play the Conte way, which is building up from the back. And this is why I also have issues of people saying bring in Pochettino. Why would you bring in Pochettino here when he didn't play Dyer, or he barely played Davies? Or sorry, Davies was back up to Danny Rose. Dyer barely played. What makes people think he's going to walk in here and use these guys to play his way and play out from the back? He's going to need transfer windows as well. So for me, I definitely think Langley has to come in to play ahead of Ben Davies. One thing I did notice is Ben Davies, because he's so shit on the fucking football, he runs up and takes Son space, and he runs in behind Son. I'm like, what are you doing? If the ball goes in there, you are not going to control it. So why are you up there? Whereas Langley, he doesn't need to make them runs because he can just pass it 40 yards. So for me, Langley has to come in all day long. But guys, we're going to move into the midfield. Absolutely shambolic during the week. I mean, it was borderline disgraceful. Apparently, reportedly, Conte could be heard swearing at Bentancur from the touchline, with him giving away the ball a number of times. So United really kind of set up a blueprint for Newcastle today. Press Bentancur, take the ball off, stop Tottenham transitioning the ball from the back line into the forward line. But look, Hojbjerg was atrocious, which I'm going to get onto Hojbjerg now in a second. Bentancur was atrocious, and Basuma for me was the worst on the pitch that day. Guys, regardless of the formation, regardless whether it's a 3, whether it's a 2, do you think Ollie Skip should be given a go? And we'll start with you on this, Steg, and then we'll get Coolin on this, and then I'll come back to that on Zinedine.
Yeah, I said before about Ollie Skip. Listen, what I will say, just very quickly, when you were speaking about defence and these people costing us, I speak on behalf of a lot of people, and I speak on behalf, or I speak with a lot of people agree with me. Not only people doing this, the great summer of getting what we needed in. Listen, the players, like I said, need to hold a hell of a lot of accountability because it's been unacceptable. If we all went into our daytime jobs, obviously not me, I'm unemployed at the moment, and just said, yes, you know what, it's a big day today, but I'm going to put in a performance like we did against Manchester United, your managers would be calling you in for disciplinaries, your job would be on the line, you'd be whatever.
Well, you probably didn't even show up to work then. If you
yeah, even that, yeah, just called in a sickie and then you're found doing a stream or at the football match. It's unacceptable, and people keep going on. Oh, but we spent early. Oh, but we spent this. We did. Yeah, we may have spent early. Did we buy the players we needed? Like you said, everyone was fucking crying out for a central defender to play in that back three. So it's not Davies and Sanchez as the replacements for all those positions.
Yeah.
It's not, and like you said, that midfield that we wanted to see. I said it before when you were just off camera, but you could hear me. For me, I don't care which one gets dropped. I don't care which one. Ollie Skip comes in, and I know a very good friend of mine, active on Wembley, said that Skip's been off the pace when he's come on. But that's the thing, he's been off the pace because he's been asked to come on with 4 minutes to go. Yeah, he's had his warm-up. He's like, right, get into the game. Do your stuff. How can you do it in 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Ollie Skip comes in and starts. We know not just Mourinho had great faith in him, and that's why he went out on loan. Poch started using him sparingly, but Conte loves him. And we saw when he started against Man City on the opening day of last season, he had a season long at Norwich. He started that game, if you remember, very shakily, almost gave a penalty away, picked up a yellow card. But then after that yellow card, he was like, right, that's it. And he just grew into the game and flourished. And as I've always said, you know how badly you miss a player when he's out the squad. And the times that Ollie Skip was out, both the Chelsea 3-0 in the league and then that filthy demolition at the filth last season, that 3-1. Then when he went out after the Leicester game last season, you can see a huge Ollie Skip-sized hole. And for me, he has to. I would have him in, and like you said with the screaming, with Bentancur, I swear to God, if I was Conte at Old Trafford, I would have said I'd have gone into the changing room before full time, got all their wallets out, locked the door, and said, "Here's your wallets. Get on the train home. You're not getting
Yeah.
no coach. You're not getting showered.
Roy Keane
Go on the
style.
coach. Get on that coach. Get an Uber. Do whatever you want. Go sit with the fans." And let them see what you put them through. We're spending hundreds of thousands. You've got to remember that was an 8 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
People that I know went to the game that were driving didn't get back till 4 a.m. Let alone people travelling by public transport or whatever, or spent a night in a hotel. This midfield needs to the accountability has to start here and now. And we keep saying it's you hold the shirt until you screw up, and when you screw up, someone that's there will take your place, and then it's your turn to try and get it back.
Yeah.
Well, in defence, there needs to be a couple of changes, or at least one with Longley. Midfield, there has to be one with Skip coming in, and one of them have to know that you play like this, it ain't fucking acceptable. Even if it's Hojbjerg, as much as I love him, if Hojbjerg is on the bench today, like he was, David, he was on the bench when you and me went to Wolves, weren't he? After having, and then he came
And he'll
back.
never be on the bench again, judging off that.
Yeah, and then he came back and was one and played really well for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
The accountability needs to be taken for these players to say, you play like this, you're dropped.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd drop it, mate. If we had better midfield or more strength in depth, I'd drop more than one of them.
Yeah.
But Ollie Skip has to for me start today. But no, my luck, he probably won't.
Interesting. And Cooper, would you agree that Ollie Skip has to come into this? So someone has to be dropped. And Conte has to make a statement that what went on Wednesday night, because the whole idea of playing the midfield three is they engage the higher up the pitch, try and turn the ball over and get us on the front foot. And they just, like Jack said, they just basically rang and said, "I'm not turning up for work today."
Yeah, for me, you've got to inject some sort of energy into that midfield. There's got to be a sense of urgency. A terrier-like performance from Skip would go a long way to doing that. We can't just let teams occupy that central midfield role. We had 3 players in there and did nothing with any of them. Something's got to be changed, even if Skip doesn't have a blinder. Just change the sense of urgency, the intensity. Do some proper pressing again. Get control of the middle of the park. At least then you're cutting out some of the attempts coming in. That 28 shots conceded was just it's just not. It should never happen.
Make it 66 as well, Coover, when you count Arsenal and Chelsea. And the other thing I will say with Skip, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in just there. Dave, you'll know, and Jack, I don't know if Skip played when you went. When Ollie Skip, and I went to a good few games last season when I was back, when they sing his name, it's almost as loud as when you start singing Antonio. It's one of the loudest chants I've heard recently when you're at the ground and away. And it's another homegrown, one of our own, which always G's the crowd up when you see one of your own coming in. And I think he's just a wonderful player, and I think he's got to start.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Interesting. I do agree with you, Coover, though. It does, like, even if it's just a change, just for the sake of intensity, or a bit of passion, a bit more get up and go about the midfield. I completely agree with you there, my man.
I mean, even if our passing game's not working, we're not so exciting, and there's no chances flowing, you can still get the crowd up for it by throwing in a few blinding tackles. Just crunch into some of those tackles like it matters. We saw nothing on Wednesday. It's got to be in the team today. If it's not, I'll give up on the team if I don't see anything today.
Yeah. Look, it would be nice. I do think we need a bit of renewed energy in there. However, interesting, Diego mentioned Zinedine Salzburg, but this one's for Jacko. Zinedine Salzburg, for me, has become one of the best central midfielders in the league since his move to Tottenham. He is comfortable passing and carrying the ball like we've seen, and has a bit of stealing bite to the midfield. Zinedine Salzburg has 3 goals, 3 assists to his name already this season, making him the 3rd highest goal scorer this season for Tottenham, and also the joint most assists in the team. Is he actually more crucial to us going forward than what we actually give him credit for, Jack?
I think
because
he's been
given creativity coming from out wide. It's all coming from Hojbjerg through the middle.
Yeah, I think a lot. Well, because we've already had the the conversations about Emerson and Doherty, and I do kind of agree it can be just a useless right hand side. So the creativity has to come from somewhere. And Hoiberg, I think, has stepped up more than we probably ever expected him to this season. Because let's be honest, a lot of people thought Basuma was going to step in right away for the likes of Hoiberg, and I think he's definitely shown that he has that ability that maybe a lot of people didn't give him credit for, which is that ability to break the lines, which is that ability to play a through ball, be able to link up play. He has great switches of play, I think, as well, that people don't give him credit for. I think sometimes, Bentancur looks very pretty on the ball, but you don't always see Bentancur, pick up the ball and just spray a pass 40 yards to a wingback. We see Hojbjerg, I think, do that a bit more often. And then I'll be honest, though, Dave, he needs a good performance after Man United, because I kind of thought they were all just dreadful and appalling in their own kind of separate way. Bentancur was appalling, I thought, with how much he was giving the ball away, like maybe Conte alluded to. Basuma at certain stages just wasn't as energetic as we needed him to be. He also gave the ball away with some really poor first touches. Hojbjerg just didn't have the Hojbjerg Viking energy that we know that he needed. And we also needed him, Dave, to be that sort of like threat going forward, to be that creativity that you're asking about in the question. I think that's what we probably thought Hojbjerg was going to bring for us in the 3-5-2, is somebody that can help out the likes of Kane and Son, be able to, take some initiative on the ball, maybe even beat a man and then try to find a pass or be able to play somebody. And he wasn't helped, of course, by other players, and he wasn't helped at all by other performances. But I don't think Hojbjerg at all, Dave, played even close to even deserve any credit for that performance. And so I think he needs to show again some fans why he has been the most creative midfielder this season. The stats show it, everything shows it, but of course we're a bit fickle and we're also, recency biased, and we want to see him show that consistency that he's brought this season. Because I must be honest, that Man United performance was one of the worst Hojbjerg performances we've seen maybe ever, if not in a long time. And he needs to bounce back, because it was kind of happening, Dave. What did I say? Oh, I'll let some people back on the Hojbjerg love train before it gets a bit too late. He then put in that howler. All of a sudden, everybody decided to jump off the Hojbjerg love train and join the Hojbjerg hate train that was just, across the platform. So, Dave, maybe it is time for Hojbjerg to demand that love again.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is. But look, guys, we're going to start wrapping it up now. Just take this comment from DB. Let people start plugging their channels. DB says, I was so angry Wednesday night. I cancelled all my memberships, but I'm coming back. Just can't find the link. Not 100% in agreement, Ari Conte, but love the channel and the vibe. Well, DB, my man, look, this is the beauty of look, not only my channel, a lot of other channels out there. Everyone has difference of opinions, but we sit here, we talk about in a gracious manner, and we have a bit of crack doing it, my man. That's what it's all about. I'll be honest, it'd be boring if everybody's seen everything through the same lens, just boring. Everyone has two eyes. Everyone sees life differently. Everyone sees football differently. And that's the beauty of our beautiful game, my man. As for the memberships, look, I can get it. Like, we can all get angry and do some mad things. No worries, my man. Even if you don't, look, no worries at all. Just keep coming in the chat, putting your comments in, and we'll keep bringing them up. But look, really appreciate the kind words on the channel. What I would say, DB, is watch for my video coming out Monday. I might even release it tonight. Who knows? But watch for it. Maybe have a little listen and see what you think and see where I'm coming from, my man. Big up, DB. Good to see you in the building.
Sounds like I did a preview for that then, did I, Dave?
Yeah.
Sounds like I did a preview for your video then.
Oh, you did. Look, I think what I say makes a lot of sense. But then again, when I say things, people tell me it doesn't make sense. So we'll wait and see. But look, we'll start with Daigle and work our way back around. Daigle, Tottenham on tour, my man. What's going on?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say, the whole will he release the video tonight? Will it be tomorrow? I've got the EastEnders theme tune in my head. What a cliffhanger you have just set with people. The anticipation, everything is there like a good soap opera. Yeah, listen, what can I say? Tottenham on tour. We hit 5,000 subscribers finally last week, which we are absolutely delighted with. There hasn't been a lot of content for obvious reasons, or for reasons. I'm coming back to London in 2 weeks and 3 days, 4 days, very soon. Very, very soon. And obviously I'll be with Danny, I'll be with Ben, and I'll be with Ryan Isaacs. There will be a lot more content. Brian Ireland has been exceedingly busy, and he is the technical guru. If I try and set things up, I'll probably end up cancelling the channel and losing 5,000 subscribers. So I stay away from that part. but we have other people that can do it. But one thing I've got an idea in my head, and I've started pitching it to people. I want to do like a documentary kind of thing for our comeback, looking at certain areas of the club and football in generally and how it compares to other sports. So I've already been speaking to someone that deals in medicals and everything. So we might do a whole thing on the medical team and what a player does and cut the difference. Why do I found out here in North America that the NFL and the NHL and all their teams, their medical teams have regular evaluations from people outside to make sure. And it's concerning me at the moment with the medical team at Tottenham, how are these injuries. So I'm looking at doing kind of fly on the wall documentaries kind of thing with people that have worked in that area, not necessarily for the club, but in the profession. So that's one thing we've got planned coming up. So there's a lot that will be coming up when Tottenham on tour do return. And when we do, we are back, and we are, in the words of Take That, we're back for good. And we're going nowhere. I want you back.
Well, it's
I'm going to stop singing. I'm going to stop singing. I'm not.
No, I might have to listen to that before we go on. We are on TV. I'll give it a good old blast.
My sister was huge Take That. I know way too many Take That songs from my own liking. But yeah, that's where you can find me, Tottenham on tour with the guys. But listen, everyone, it's always a pleasure speaking to everyone in the chat. And obviously, I keep saying we have a very good relationship with the Irish and Flat Cap Army. And David and I are one leg down in our triple header. So let's keep this going. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Myself, Dagan, and Jack will be back here for the watch along starting at 4 p.m. So, make sure you tune in. That'll be a good bit of crack. Kuva, I mean, look, I don't know where we're going with this one. Who we picking up today, my man? And thanks for showing up today, man.
I'll be on the Three Spurs Boys channel tonight. It's Kuvan the Kang, me and Bobby K. Just doing a little wind down from the weekend's football, really. If we get a bad result today, we're probably going to stay away from football totally. We'll just play a few silly games with some guests and just have a chill out sort of stream, really. It's just for a bit of fun. It all gets a bit too serious sometimes.
Yeah.
So this will be the antidote to it.
No,
Nice.
I love it.
Nice plug.
Love it. Get over and check it out.
Oh,
you
nice.
know, I think, look, I could be there as well if,
I was going to say, Dave, that sounded
angry. Absolutely love it.
Always welcome, mate.
No, 100%.
Sort of like a spa treatment.
Actually, we should get you and Jack on as the pair, really, because when we're doing the games, it's a good little competition there.
No, do you know what? We'll definitely organise that. We'll definitely sort it out for sure. With me, you, Bobby K, and Jack, it'll be good. Actually, it'd be good. But Kuva, Brian, really appreciate you guys showing up today. It's been a great pre-match build-up. Thank you so much, guys. But last but not least, Jack, and you're always last. You're very patient. No, skip that. Go to yours. Plug yourself.
I'm going to definitely put out a video recently, actually, for the likes of Everton fans, and also because the very, very smart Bottom Duda pointed out basically the next and up-and-coming Holland. I had no idea who he was going into it, and it wasn't my best work, but I would take a look at it just to see the next and up-and-coming Holland, and I think there is some truth behind
Is that
it.
about Haaland? You're doing it.
It's actually, Dave, I think he's from France or maybe a country. I'm not going to guess.
You're not
anymore.
actually doing it on Haaland's cousin, no?
No, but I do know that there is actually a cousin of Haaland's that is, banging about right now. But no, this guy's out in the Serie A, Dave, and he's playing for Udogi's team. He's playing for Udinese. He's a big, 6'4" striker. His name is Beto. He's looking pretty saucy over there. But I'm definitely going to be putting out a video soon. I was actually meant to put out another one. Just kind of something came up personally, so I couldn't be able to do it. But I am kind of back on the trend, back on the track. So just take a look out for some stuff over there. Also, I think Dave's going to be picking up FIFA and all that good stuff soon. So you never know. Some, Twitch stuff could be put up again. The Flat Cap Twitch gets alive and all that stuff happens. So I would just say,
that was always funny.
Yeah, take a look.
You two losing your shit on a computer.
It's so childish, but I love it. I can't help it.
Yeah.
I can't help it. But Jack, Udinese, while you're looking him up, check out Fetzi Ebiselli. Let me know how I was getting on over there as well. Young Irish guy. I believe moved from Derby County over there to Udinese. So, playing the opposite side to Destiny. He plays right wing back.
Nice.
So let me know how he is. And guys, check out the flatcapeurotalk. Also, feel free to grab them channel memberships throughout the day. After games, now after every game, I will be doing a fan show I'm not going to cross on we or Tottenham TV's toes. So by the time we finish the watch along, I will take an hour's break, and then I'll wait more or less for we or Tottenham TV to be finishing, and then I'll be going with a fan show. For you guys out there that maybe still are angry and want to come on and vent and have your say, or just sit there and absolute what's the word? I can't remember right now. Just happy with me if we win. But Tom Markinen says, couple of quid to say thank you, big up, great panel. Well, my man, really, really appreciate it. A lot of people actually in the comments saying they really enjoy it today. So thank you, Tom. No doubt you kicked that off, brother. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Tom.
Yeah,
He's
guys,
always in here too.
Feel free to grab them channel memberships throughout the day. Get on the fan show, have a conversation with me. Leighton, no hiding today. You better be on that fan show tonight. No hiding today, brother. Big yourself up. But guys, we are going to end off there. See you back here at 4 o'clock for the watch long. As just quickly, massive respect to Jack. Everybody give him a big up as well. Kept it going this whole week while I was being off sick. I haven't been very well whatsoever, and it's not an easy thing to do with the rate of content we try to push out, try to keep up to date with everything. Not easy to do. So big up to Jack for that, everybody. But guys, we're off. We're out. It's time to become slippery worms. Go and grease yourself up. The Magpies will not be feeding us on us today. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte, I still trust.
In Conte, we trust.
Leave me out.
Leave me out.